Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your horoscope for the full moon in Scorpio on May 7th, 2020. So looking at this is a full moon that we have built up to here, starting off of a new moon in Taurus. So we're here at this full point on May 7th when the moon is in opposition to the sun in Taurus. And this is an interesting full moon as the ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is retrograde. And so we are going through some deep lessons here in terms of internal transformation and changes that need to be made within. And this full moon pulling us to a release point of these intense feelings and these traumas and fears beneath the surface as we are going through this transformation process. And remember that we started this new moon off in a conjunction to Uranus. And so we started this off with very unexpected, surprising changes to pull us through this transition here, leading up to this major moment of letting go. And there's a big theme of letting go here, as this is a full moon in Scorpio making a trine over to Neptune in Pisces. This is a major moment of surrender, of letting go with this Neptune in Pisces. Also keep in mind, Ceres is here in Pisces, showing us that the way of nurturing is through letting go, is through releasing. Remember that Pisces is that last sign in the zodiac, that last moment of endings, of unwinding ourselves from the constraints of this physical reality and transcending. And so there is an element here of releasing and letting go through this process of purging these deeper, intense feelings and fears and trauma that we have gone through here. And so with Pluto retrograde in this, we are going through this very deep transformation here, where this full moon is offering us some relief from all of these intense feelings in the middle of this retrograde. So keep in mind that Pluto retrograde will not end until October. But there's something major here that is this moment of release that is trying to help assist us in this process of transforming. And so this is a major moment of the universe asking you to let go of the past, to let go of trauma, to let go of fear, to let go of these deeper, more intense emotions as we are dealing with Scorpio. Now, as this is an opposition to the sun, this is also an opposition to Mercury, which is here joined with the sun in Taurus. And so we have to come up with a plan. We have to come up with the steps to take to get to this moment of releasing and letting go. And so this is a time of planning and taking the right steps and the right course of action to get to what it is that we need to release, what it is that we need to let go of. Remember that Mercury in Taurus is much slower, much more methodical, much more rational, well planned out. Mercury in Taurus wants to take the steps to get us to what is of the highest value, to get us to improve our lives, to have the most beautiful, the most valuable life that we can have. And so there's a major desire here to feel good as Uranus is in Taurus and the sun is joined with Mercury in Taurus, that we want to feel good. We want to have the beautiful things in life. We want to have the stability. We want to feel worthy. But through this, we need to understand the steps to get here. And so this is a major moment of taking action, taking the actual steps so that we can let go of the past, so that we can let go of these blocks and these fears, right? Moon in Scorpio and Pluto retrograde, the ruler of Scorpio, a lot of fears, a lot of blocks that we need to get rid of, that we need to release here. And of course, Jupiter is here with Pluto trying to make this happen, as Jupiter is trying to expand and deepen this very powerful, very intense transformation that we are going through internally. Now, this is also making a quintile over to Pallas Athena and Saturn, which are both sitting in Aquarius. And so the solution to our problem is gaining this authority, gaining this responsibility within ourselves. And what is our role that we are playing in humanity? What is the part that we are playing? And remember that we talked about how this Saturn in Aquarius is a sneak peek of what is to come in December, as this Saturn will only stay here in Aquarius for a brief moment. So Saturn is here leading up to its retrograde, where it will retrograde back into Capricorn, and we won't see it come back into Aquarius until December. So we are in this sneak peek of what this new reality will look like with Saturn in Aquarius, this authority, this responsibility to be a member of humanity, to be your individual self, to show up in the collective as you are. There's something very original about Aquarius, that the negative side of this is blending into those around you, but the positive side of this is bringing your uniqueness, bringing your individuality into the collective, and making this space for peace and unity for all of us, with all of our differences, to come together. And so this solution to letting go here is knowing your own worth, knowing your own individuality, and how you fit in, and what your role is to play here in humanity. And there's a lot of deep inner wounds and feelings that we need to let go of and release here with Neptune and Pisces, and with this series in Pisces, as well as this full moon in Scorpio. And remember that a lot of these wounds, a lot of these fears, these insecurities are coming from how we look, our identity, how we want to appear to others. Chiron is sitting in Aries along with Lilith, of these desires and these fears and these deeper feelings of wanting to look a certain way, wanting to appear a certain way, this identity, this image. And so with this full moon in Scorpio is encouraging us to come back to the depths of our soul, to come back to what is truly real and authentic, and to remove this false image, to show up as who we really are. This is also making an in conjunction over to Vesta, which is conjoined with Venus in Gemini. And this is very interesting, as Vesta is an asteroid that represents the eternal flame. And so this is this spark, this fire, this passion within that is driving us and motivating us. And Venus here reminding us about this love of connection and communication, which is a big role that we are going to play as Venus will retrograde back on the 13th. And so Venus is going to spend a very long time here in Gemini teaching us these lessons of communication, of connection in relationships. And so are we able to connect with those that we love, with those that we care about? Are relationships important to us? These are big lessons that are coming up. And as we go through this review period of Venus retrograde in Gemini, there's a lot in terms of connecting that is connected to this full moon in Scorpio, which is not being afraid to go to the depths of your feelings, not being afraid to be vulnerable, as Scorpio is the deepest, most intense feelings of passion, of vulnerability, of fear, of connection. And so there is a question here of whether we are willing to be vulnerable and to be open and to connect and to go in and heal these internal wounds within ourselves that really becomes the basis of if we will truly connect at the deepest level within our relationships. As we're in this place of fear and trauma and pain and these deeper, intense emotions that are kept deep within here with this full moon in Scorpio, there's a wall here of trust issues, of not being vulnerable, not being open. And so this full moon in Scorpio really bringing us back to our authentic selves, really bringing us back to this space of healing and purging and dealing with these deeper internal wounds and being able to bring these feelings to the surface, being able to connect, being able to build relationships, being able to be your true authentic self. And so there's a major surrender here with this as we are going through this process. Another big thing that we see here is this full moon is making a sesquiquadrant over to the North Node in Gemini. And yes, we are now here with this full moon in Scorpio on May 7th with the North Node in Gemini. And so remember that the North Node will shift very early on May 5th. And so with this North Node sitting here in Gemini, this is a brand new karmic story that we are in here with this full moon in Scorpio. And so North Node is in Gemini, South Node is in Sagittarius. And if you'd like to know more about that, make sure to check out the video on North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. I will leave a link down below in the descriptions as well as the comments so that you can go ahead and check that out and see what that is all about. But as we're coming into this new karmic story, North Node in Gemini wants us to connect to those in our environment, to what is going on around us in our close-knit environment, as Gemini is connected to the communication, the thoughts, the ideas, the interaction, the details that are happening within our familiar environment, right? So opposite of Sagittarius, where the South Node is dealing with what is going on out in the world and these travels and journeys, long distance, going out, seeking this knowledge and information connection outside of our environment. This North Node is in Gemini, where we're dealing with our environment, we're dealing with communication, we're dealing with logic, we're dealing with the intellect, we're dealing with curiosity and learning. And so as this North Node is sitting here in Gemini, there's something big here where this full moon in Scorpio is trying to say to us that we need to build relationships and connections, deeper connections with those around us within our environment. This is a big lesson here that we are stepping into, that we have began to build up to here, that is surrounded around relationships and forming these deeper connections. And this full moon in Scorpio is this major point where we must be willing to go in and do the work. Pluto retrograde, right? Remember that Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, that we must be willing to go in and to address these deeper parts of ourselves, as Scorpio is connected to these fears and these intense passions and desires and deeper feelings that are hidden within ourselves. And so going to the depths of our feelings and addressing it and understanding this and purging the things that no longer serve us, these fears, these traumas, these attachments to the past, opening up, surrendering through this Neptune and Pisces, that this is a major moment of needing to connect at a deeper level. I also pulled some cards for this full moon in Scorpio. So the first card that we have here is the Six of Swords. What are the action steps? Remember, we talked about this with Mercury conjoined with the Sun in Taurus, that it's time to take some practical, logical steps to get to where we're trying to go. Six of Swords, what is your plan? What are you going to do to make this a reality? What are the steps that you will take? Last card we have here is Cancer, I feel. And so, once again, farming these deeper emotional connections, knowing how to nurture your own inner feelings. Remember here that we are purging, we are healing with this full moon in Scorpio. We're going into our deepest, most intense feelings and addressing it. And we are letting go of these things that no longer serve us. So this is a major moment of going in and healing and working on these deeper parts of yourself with this full moon in Scorpio. And so this is a major time where if you are not willing to face these deeper, more intense parts of yourselves, remember that Scorpio is this sign that is seeing through the depths of the soul, that this is the most deepest, most intense emotion. As the moon is in its weakest position in Scorpio, it's in fall position, where it's debilitated in Scorpio, because this is not comfortable, and the moon wants to be comfortable in Cancer. But we are here in this deeper, more intense, more soulful feelings where the moon is uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable space. This is a space of being vulnerable, being open, being insecure, going in and addressing these deeper feelings. And so with Cancer here as our second card, are you afraid to feel? Because this is a major moment of needing to feel to the very depths of your soul. And understanding how to connect to this part of yourself is the healing process that helps you to connect deeper to others. And this is a major theme as Venus will be retrograde in Gemini. And we have the North Node here in Gemini as well, where our karmic destiny here is to connect to those around us on a much deeper level. So that was your horoscope for the full moon in Scorpio happening on May 7th, 2020. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new content. If you'd like to share some spiritual wisdom, some psychic insight, positivity, go ahead and feel free to join the group Astro Metaphysical Love and Light on Facebook. I want to thank you all once again for joining. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.